Hey guys, glad you stopped by. So tonight for dinner, we are going to do a chicken and corn potato chowder. I thought it sounded just amazing. Like always, it pops up on one of the several feeds or apps I have. And it was on one of them, but it sounded so good. And since now we're past Labor Day, which means that even though we're not calendar-wise into fall, it's like the unofficial start to fall. And it's nice outside, but it's not 900 degrees out. It's just a nice, almost fall day. And I thought, what not a better way to kick off fall than with a chowder. Chowders, stews, and soups are just quintessential fall, you know, hands down. And I think this one sounds amazing. But anyhow, if you're new, welcome. Hope you get something out of this video and maybe check out some of my other ones. If you're returning or one of our several new subscribers, welcome and thank you. I think that's awesome. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. That gets us out in the algorithm and you know, it helps to grow our neighborhood. Which is awesome. You know, there's nothing better than a community full of just good people who like to celebrate food and communication and, you know, being nice to each other. It's kind of cool. Comments, always welcome. I respond to all of them. All I ever ask is you be nice. Type before you think. It's okay to disagree. Just think before you type. Don't be mean about it. Yeah, so that being said, why don't we head on down to the counter and we'll start making this chowder. All right, hold on for me 1 second. All right, we're down here at the counter. First thing, the only thing you're gonna need for this dish, I mean realistically cook it, is a stock pot. Now the first thing we needed to do, which I already did in advance because I made bacon this morning for breakfast, was we took 6 strips of bacon and you're gonna wanna cook them down in the bottom of your stock pot. To get that bacon grease in there, you're gonna need like 2 tablespoons of it, and then you're just gonna chop up those 6 pieces of bacon, or you can chop them up prior to, put them in there. But you'll need 2 tablespoons of bacon grease to go in the bottom of your pan, and along with that, you're gonna need 3 tablespoons of regular unsalted butter right there. And I got the bacon grease in there too, since I'd already made up the bacon. And I mean, you may not save up bacon grease. I do. I keep it in the fridge. And if you don't, you should. It comes in handy to cook with. And I mean, it's good for, you know, 60 days in the fridge as in an airtight container. You know, some people use it often enough they just leave it out on their countertop. I have a bacon grease collector right here. It's kind of a catch-all. But we're gonna let that melt down. All right, we got our bacon's melted, our bacon grease and our butter's melted, and it's bubbling, it's doing its thing down here in the pot. So the next thing we need to add to our pot is it's 1 medium onion, roughly 1 cup, 140 grams worth of onion, and it's minced up, you know, not finely minced, but just minced, or minced, diced. Jeez, Pete, you mince your onion, you'll cry yourself to death. We're gonna throw that in there, and the original recipe called for 1 cup, 140 grams of red bell pepper chopped. Mine was a small red bell pepper I pulled out of the garden, so I just added a little green to it. But you want 1 cup of bell pepper all the same. The red will just give it color. I mean, bell pepper kind of just tastes like bell pepper. And then I've got 2 tablespoons of jalapeno, which if you see, some of it's red, some of it's green, and that's because I had a red jalapeno out there in the garden. All this came from the garden, which was kind of nice. Now, do you know why red jalapeno is red? It is red because it's starting to lose its spiciness. When it's in nature, it's green, and the heat keeps the critters from trying to eat what is essentially the seed pod, because that's what the pepper is. And as it gets older and it matures, it starts to lose its heat intensity and it turns red, which tells critters, hey, leave me alone, I'm dangerous. Or in this case, a little spicy. So it's kind of like a hiding the fact that it's losing its spiciness. So we're going to go ahead and let these cook until they're softened. And it's going to take about 5 minutes on medium heat. Alright, so our vegetables are softened. Now with that jalapeno, You don't have to put a jalapeno in it. You can just add more peppers, bell peppers, or you could just add whatever hot pepper you prefer to it. But you want to make sure you de-seed it and take the ribs out of it. That will eliminate most of the heat and give you flavor over heat. Or you can leave the ribs in, or I mean you can leave the seeds in for that matter if that's what you so desire. Or like I said, you don't have to add it all. You can just add more bell pepper to it. So the next thing we need to add to this, I've got 1.5 tablespoons. It's about 3 to 4 cloves of garlic, depending on the size of the garlic you have. That I pressed. You want to mince it, and we're going to throw that in there, and we're just going to let this cook for about 30 seconds until it's fragrant. Okay, so our garlic is fragrant. So the next thing we're going to add to this is a quarter cup, 30 grams worth of just regular old all-purpose flour, and we're going to sprinkle this over the vegetables. And we're going to stir this around until you can't see any color to it. And you want it to start to get, like a little dark brown in color. We're making a very blonde roux. Okay, so we have no more white color. And we're looking, kind of golden, if that makes sense. We're not brown, but we're not and dark. The darker you make that, the longer you cook it, the darker the flour gets. And the darker your in this case, chowder is going to be. So the next thing we're going to add to this is, give me 1 second there, it's a handful of spices, and I don't remember all the amounts. We are going to add 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of salt. We are going to add 3/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of smoked paprika. We are going to add 1/2 teaspoon, 2 grams worth of mustard powder. And it's just dried mustard seed that's been turned into a powder. And then we are going to add 3/4 teaspoon, 3 grams of crushed black pepper, or ground black pepper crushed. We're going to get that mixed in there real quick, and then the fun begins. Now we are going to start adding 4 cups of chicken stock right here, or you can use broth, stock, whatever you prefer. And we're just going to add it a little bit at a time. Add it slowly and get it stirred in. That way it catches everything and combines well with that flour. Okay, we've got our chicken stock in there. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to add 1 cup, 240 milliliters worth of just regular old whole milk, 1 cup, 240 milliliters of heavy cream. Throw that in there, and we're going to give this a good stir. Now we got that stirred up, we are going to add in 1 pound, 454 grams of potatoes. Now, I am using red potatoes. Red potatoes. I did not peel them, I just cut them and into 1-inch cubes. And I'm going to put those in there. I think the original recipe called for golden potatoes. I just didn't have any, but I had red potatoes. You can also use russets. If you use russets, I would probably peel those. They're thick-skinned. So we've got those in there. The last thing we need to add in here is some chicken. Now I've got about 1.5 pounds of chicken here. I've got two thighs that are boneless, skinless, and I cut the big chunks of fat off of them, and I got 2 breasts in here, and I cut the big pieces of fat off of those. We're actually going to put these in here whole, just like such. Oh, I forgot one thing. It just hit me. But it's nothing that's really overly horrible. You also need 1 cup of water in this bad boy. You can also use 5 cups of chicken broth instead of 4, but I really kind of wanted to follow this recipe fairly close. So 1 cup of water, 4 cups of milk, or 1 cup of water, 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of heavy cream, 4 cups of chicken broth. And I'll leave right here what the milliliters are for the chicken broth, because I don't know what 4 times 240 is right offhand. It's right around 9:56, I think, but I'll leave it right here all the same. So we've got all our spices in here, we've got our potatoes in here, we've got our chicken in here. So now what we want to do is we're going to cook this. We're going to basically bring it up to a boil, down to a simmer, and let it cook for about 20 minutes till the potatoes are soft, till they're tender, and till the chicken is done. All right, so when I come back, the chicken should be done, the potatoes should be tender, and we can move on to the next step. All right, see you here in a second. Okay, so like normal, I'm kind of special, and I forgot to add one ingredient, but it's a really easy one. It's the corn. It's one of the stars of the show. I don't know how I forgot it, but it's 2.5 cups, 275 grams of frozen corn, or you can use about 1.5 cans of canned corn, or you can use fresh corn, either way. But you want to put that in there. So I let this go for about 20 minutes. I checked my chicken, I pulled a piece of it out, and I cut it open just to make sure it was done. No pink left in the center. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull these other 3 pieces out that I have in here, and we're going to give these a good shred. Yep. And then to shred these, all I need to do is take a couple forks, like such, and just start pulling them apart. Okay, we got our chicken shredded. I mean, it's not finely shredded, it doesn't have to be, but you want it to be bite-sized. Got that in there. Give our chowder a good stir that's in here. The next thing we're going to want to do is, now there was 2 ways to do this. In the original recipe, they used an immersion blender. It made everything super smooth, but if you don't have an immersion blender, you can use a potato masher, which, I mean, I have an immersion blender, but they said just to let it know that, or let you know, or let me know, or whatever, that if you're using a potato masher, you're still going to have, you know, chunks of potato in this. You won't have, well, you more than likely will. You won't necessarily have a creamy, smooth texture all the way through. Well, in my mind, I don't want a creamy, smooth texture all the way through. Anyhow, I mean, any chowder I've ever had that had potatoes involved in it, there were always some potatoes. You know, you want that chunkiness. That's in my opinion, at any rate. So, I mean, if you want a smooth, textured chowder, go ahead and use an immersion blender, or spend a whole lot of time with your potato masher in here, mashing up every potato. But I'm not going to, so I'm just going to give this, like right now, I'm pretty much done mashing what I need to mash up. So we got that done. We are going to put our chicken back in our pot, just like such. And then we have one more thing to add, and it's the other star of the show, so to speak, even though it's not in the name. I mean, it is a chicken, corn, and potato chowder. But remember that 6 strips of bacon I talked about at the beginning that we chopped up? Boom, we're going to put all 6 of them in there. I'm going to let this go about another 5-10 minutes, just to, you know, on a low simmer. That way everything's reintroduced. Now that that chicken's shredded, it'll give time to that juices in the rest of the chowder that were inside that chicken, because that chicken was super juicy. And give a chance for the bacon to warm up. So when I come back, we'll give this a try. All right? Hold on for me 1 second. Okay, guys. Here we are. Completed as we thought it would be. Look at that. Doesn't that look just amazing? Oh, so good. All right. So now all we have left to do is get some served. So we'll go ahead and get us a bowl's worth here. I'm here to tell you, not only does it look fantastic, it smells fantastic, which means we are 2/3 of the way there, right? We just gotta see if it tastes good. Now, this is the point where you'd want to check it for salt and pepper to taste, to see if there's anything more you want to put in it. I leave that up personally in my household to whoever's at that's serving their plate or bowl, as the case may be, because I don't do any more salt than what it calls for in the recipe, just because I think it takes away from the flavor when you put too much salt in. But Yeah, choice is yours, but that's when you'd want to do it. So now I'm just going to throw some cheddar cheese here on the top. Yeah, garnish it with a, or I'm sorry, this is actually a Colby Jack on the top, but you can use whatever cheese you like. And then I'm going to throw a couple, 2, 3 fresh cut jalapenos on here. Because I like jalapenos, especially fresh ones. Yeah, and not always so much for the heat. I quit doing uber hot a long time ago. All right, well there is our dish at any rate. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. It smells good. Yeah, we used to actually grow ghost peppers, Trinidad's, you know, the super, super hot peppers. And as I got older, I got to the point where I'd want to drop my spoon on the floor, because that's what I do. But I got to the point where I didn't really care much for all that heat. I mean, it's not bad, but I found that when you get to the super hot peppers, it's nothing but heat. There's no flavor. Jalapenos, habaneros, they still have, I can get the flavor out of those. But your super peppers, as cool as they are to be able to say, oh yeah, I can eat that, they don't really, unless it's in sauce form, they're so hot that they're hard to cook with. But anyhow, let's quit lollygagging. Let's give this a try so I can get my crew fed. Let me find a piece of potato to go in there. And some chicken would be nice. There we go. That is really, really good. I mean, really good. Ooh, that pepper caught me off guard. Give me 1 second. Yeah, you don't need to give this a try. The first bite I took didn't have any of the fresh jalapeno in it, and there was no heat at all. I mean, remember we put in, you know, a couple tablespoons worth of jalapenos, but that didn't really give it a whole lot of heat. When you mix milk, heavy cream, even with hot stuff, it takes away a lot of that heat. And plus we took the veins out, took the seeds out, so we just had that little hint of jalapeno flavor, which is there, but it's not hot. Now, me adding the fresh jalapeno to that with the seeds and all that definitely gave it a kick. But give this a try. Not hard to make, fairly quick, very little to prep. I think you'll be very satisfied, and so will your family or your friends or whoever comes over. Tomorrow, I have a ton of dessert recipes, and I really want to try the water pie, and I'm getting to that. But we have I had a request by my wife, and when she speaks, we listen, for cut out pumpkin cookies. So I searched at a few different recipes and actually came up with my own recipe based on several other recipes that I think is going to work very well. Yeah, I think we're going to like it. But we're going to make those tomorrow, and so we're going to learn how to make the cookie itself, and then we're going to top those with the royal icing. I don't think we're going to go wrong with these at all, and that way we can really kick off the fall season between the chowder and some pumpkin cookies, and it is pumpkin season. Everybody's all about the pumpkin spice lattes, which aren't bad, but come on. Not everything has to be pumpkin except for these cookies. So that being said, like I said, give this a try. Let me know if you do down in the comments below, or if there is something you would like to see us make, you know, by us, see me make here on the channel. You know, all you do is leave me a comment. But that being said, I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else that you love them and you love them very much. They may need to hear it. It's going to make them smile either way it goes. It's going to make you smile and feel good, you know, just to tell them that. And if you make them some of this chicken, corn, and potato chowder, I guarantee it's going to put a smile on their face, and it's going to lead to an evening of conversation. And heck, there's enough there you can invite half the neighborhood over for a bowl and really have a gathering, and make some friends. That's important. Food should bring in, friends, hands down, or give you the ability to make new ones. It never hurt to give the guy that delivers your mail, a little bit of something to eat, piece of cake, piece of pie, cupcake, a takeaway bowl of chowder. That way you're making friends. Friends take care of friends. And that's important. So till tomorrow for some pumpkin cookies. I love you, and I'll see you then. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.